Tashma Śrīla Bhakti-vedanta Narayan Gosvāmī Mahārāja Śrīla Gurudev ki jai. Nityal Pavishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Tashma Śrīla Bhakti-vedanta Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Nityal Pavishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Tashma Śrīla Bhakti-vedanta Swāmī Mahārāja Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Nityal Pavishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Tashma Śrīla Bhakti-vigyan Keśava-vrata Mahārāja ki jai. Nityal Pavishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Tashma Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nityal Pavishta Mahābhagavat Śrīla Gopishwaras Babaji Mahārāja ki jai. Nityal Pavishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nityal Pavishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Mahārāja ki jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Patadash Raghunath Shara Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Nama Acharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandal Gaura Mandal Vraja Mandal Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Bharati Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund ki jai. Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Oh, and Nityal Vishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Tashma Śrīla Bhakti Pramoda Puri Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Okay, so let me share my screen. Here we go. And tomorrow is Srila Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj's disappearance day, so we'll read things about him tomorrow. Early, okay. Vrindadev Ashtakam by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. O Gangeya Champeya Tare Vinindi Rochi Pravaha Snapitatma Vinde Bandhu Ka Bandhu Yuti Diva Vaso Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Bimbadarode Taramanda Hasya Nasagra Mukta Dyuti Dipita Se Vichitra Ratna Varana Shriya Devinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Samasta Vaikunta Shiro Manoshi Krishna Sya Vrindavana Dhanya Dhani Tatadhikare Vrishabhana Putra Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Tvaragya Pallava Pushpa Bringa Mrigati Birma Davat Keli Kunja Madhvadi Birbhanti Vibhushamana Vinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Tadiya Dutena Nekunjayunur Adyutkayot Keli Vilasa Siddhi Tvatso Bhagankena Niruchatam Tarvinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Rasa Vilasho Vasatishta Vrinda Vanetare Shangri Saroja Seva Labhya Chapumsam Kripaya Tavaiva Vinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Tam Kirta Se Satvata Tantra Virbir Lila Vidana Kila Krishna Shaktis Tavaiva Murtis Tulasi Nirloke Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Bhakta Vihira Aparada Lakshai Kshiptashtakamadittarangamadi Kripa Mahitvam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Vrindashtakamya Shrinuyat Paterva Vrindavana Disha Padabja Bringa saprapya vrindavananetavasam tat prema sevam labate kritartha vrinde namaste charanarvindam vrinde namaste charanarvindam jaya vrinda devi jaya vrinda devi vrinda devi jaya vrinda devi jaya vrinda devi jaya vrinda devi vrinda devi jai vrinda devi. Shri Keśava-vrata by Śrīla Rupa Gosvāmī. Nava priyaka manjari rachita karna purashiyam vinidratara malati kalita shekareno jvalam tarojvasita yutika Gratita valguvai kakshaka Braje vijayinam bhaje Avipina deshata Keśava Tishangi manikastani Pranata shingi pinge kshane Mridanga mukhi dhumale Shabaliham shivangshi priye Iti sasurabhikulam taralamavayantam muda Braje vijayinam bhaje vipina deshata Keśava Kana pranaya meduran madura narma goshti kala Vilasa nilayan milad vividha vesha vedotina Sakena khila saraya patishu hasayantam gira Braje vijayinam bhaje avipina deshata Keśava Shamambu kanika bali one second Shamambu kanika bali Daravilida gandantara Samura giri dhatuvir Alikita charupantram puram Udancharali mandale Duti vidam vivakralakam Braje vijayinam bhaje Avipina deshata Keśava Nibaddhanavatarnaka Vali vilokanutkanthaya Natat kura putanchalar Alugubir bhuvantindatin Kalena dhavala ghata Lagu nivartayantam puro Braje vijayinam bhaje Avipina deshata Keśava Padanka tati birvaram Virachayantamadashiya Chalat talanai chiki Nichaya dolito brasaja Marula hari chanchale Krita dukola chodanchala Braje vijayinam bhaje Avipina deshata Keśava Vilasa murali kala Dhvani virulla sanmanasa Kshanara kila pallavi Opulakayantamantar vihe Mohor vidadatam hride Pramuditancha goshteshvare Braje vijayinam bhaje Avipina deshata Keśava Upeta pati sundari Tatu Tati virabhirabhyarchita Smitang purakaram pitai Natarapanga pangeshatai Astanastavaka sancharan Nayanan Nayana chanchari kanchalam Vraje vijayinam bhaje Vipina deshata Keśava Idam nikila ballavi Akula mahotsavo lasanam Kramena kilaya puman Patati shushtupadashtakam Tamujvala diyam sada Nijapadara vendadvaye Ratim tadada chanchala Sukayatar vishaka saka Raje vijayinam paje Vipina deshata Keśava Raje vijayinam paje Vipina deshata Keśava Vraje vijayinam bhaje Vipina deshata Keśava Vraje vijayinam bhaje Vipina deshata Keśava Jaya Keśava-dev Jaya Keśava-dev Keśava-dev Jaya Keśava-dev Jaya Keśava-dev 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 Jaya Keśava-dev. Alright, so let us get to our article. Where is it? Oh, let me... Okay. Here it is. Shri Guru-sevā. One second, let me just put this Mridanga down. Alright, so this is a very sobering article by Śrīla Bhakti Pramoda Puri Gosvāmī Mahārāja. This was published in Rays of The Harmonist, issue number 18, Kartika, 2008. The benefit of sincere Shri Guru-sevā. One second, let me just... Sorry for the delay. Okay. The benefit of sincere Shri Guru-sevā. Shri Bhagavan bestows his mercy upon the jiva by appearing before him in the form of Shri Guru. Other than serving Shri Guru's lotus feet, there is no way for the jiva to achieve the Lord's mercy. The indirect secondary result of serving Shri Guru-sevā, is that all anarthas, such as lust and anger, which are unfavorable for the development of Shuddha Bhakti, and which originate from the three modes of material nature, are easily conquered. The direct result of Shri Guru-sevā is that one attains service at Shri Krishna's lotus feet. Yasya shakshad bhagavati jnana dipa prade guru martyasad dhi shutam tasya sarvam kunjara shochavat. Srimad Bhagavatam 7:15-26. The meaning of this verse is that those who maintain the ill conception that Shri Guru is an ordinary mortal will find that all their efforts to recite mantras and hear and meditate upon the purports of scripture ultimately bear no fruit. They are like the elephant who takes his bath only to immediately roll in the mud again. Shri Guru is Pratyaksha Bhagavan, the directly perceivable form of the Supreme Lord, and it is He who bestows the light of transcendental knowledge upon the jiva. The mysterious truth of Shri Guru Tattva. Is this noise in the background too distracting? I can close my door and window if it is. Okay, the mysterious truth of Shri Guru Tattva. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has said, Shakshad Bhagavatiti Bhagavad Angsha Buddhir Api Guru Nakaryeti Bhava. Never even consider Sri Gurudev to be a partial expansion of the Lord, Bhagavad Angsha, and Shakshad Dharitvena Samasta Shastrir, Uktastata Bhavyata Eva Sarvi, Kintu Prabhurya Priya Eva Tasya, Vande Guroshi Charanara Vindam. All scriptures and saints declare that Sri Gurudev is the direct manifestation of Sri Hari himself. Sri Gurudev is in fact that self-same Vishay Vigraha Sri Hari, who is the object of the devotee's love, but in his aspect of Ashray Vigraha, the dearmost devotee of Krishna, or the abode of love for him. The form of Sri Gurudev is inconceivably one with Sri Krishna and different from him. Shri Guru Vashtakam, verse 7. Let me check if the background noise is too loud. Okay, somebody says not at all. Great. Truly, the worshipful object of our service, Sri Bhagavan, has personally appeared before me in the form of Sri Guru. Sri Guru is Sri Bhagavan's own manifestation as the eternal servant of Krishna, Nitya Sevak Vigraha, and at the same time, he is Sri Bhagavan's most dear one. All this is to be carefully considered. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur raises the question, Srila Gurudev's own father, children, and neighbors consider him to be an ordinary human. Why is it that only his disciples consider him to be Parameshwar, the Supreme Lord himself? Srila Thakur then answers the question himself. He explains that whether Sri Bhagavan appears as Yadunandan Sri Krishna or as Raghunandan Sri Ram, he is certainly the Supreme Lord of all creation. Among those who took birth at the time of one of his appearances, some thought of him as an ordinary human being. But does their opinion factually make him one? Right? Not everybody understood that Sri Krishna was Swayam Bhagavan, or that Ram was Swayam Bhagavan, that was Ram was Bhagavan. In the same manner, regardless of what other people may think of Sri Gurudev out of ignorance or according to a worldly relationship with him, his disciples always consider him to be the non-different manifestation of Sri Bhagavan. Sri Bhagavan himself has declared, Nanvarta Kovida Brahman Varnashrama Vatam Iha Ye Maya Guruna Vacha Tarantyanjo Bhavarnavam. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.80.33. O Brahman, among those who adhere to Varnashram, they who easily cross beyond the ocean of material existence through the instructions I give as Guru are truly knowledgeable in matters of spiritual well-being. Naham eja prajatibhyam tapasso pashamena va tushyayam sarvabhutatma guru shushushaya yatha. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.80.34. Not by the ritual worship of ordained Brahmins, nor by austerity, nor by self-restraint, can I, the soul of all beings, be so satisfied as by faithful service to Sri Guru. In this world, the birth-giving father is the first Guru. The one who gives Brahminical rites and instructions is the second Guru. And the one who instructs us in Bhagavat Tattva and gives us the Diksha Mantra is the third Guru. This third Guru, the Diksha Guru, is indeed the most prominent and venerable. By his grace alone, the jiva crosses over the ocean of material existence and attains the good fortune of finding the lotus feet of Sri Bhagavan. Bhagavan Sri Krishna Chandra, along with his dear friend Sri Sudama Vipra, resided in the home of their Gurudev. There he exhibited the highest ideal of Guru-sevā. Bhagavan Sri Chaitanya Dev also exhibited the same glorious ideal of accepting shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Guru, Sri Guru Padashray, and rendering service to him. Pretentious Guru-sevā will never bear any real fruit. With body, mind, and words, or with one's very life, one's wealth, one's intelligence, and one's speech, one must wholeheartedly serve Sri Guru. That which results in bringing joy to the object of worship, the sevya vastu, is indeed called seva. But a mere display of service, predominantly motivated by the ill purpose of securing personal gains, worship, or fame, can never be called seva. Diksha kale bhakta kore atma samarpan, she kale krishna tare kore atma sama, she deha kore tar chiranandamay, aprakrita dehe tar charana bhajay. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila 4, 192-193. When the bhakta fully dedicates himself at the time of receiving diksha, Sri Krishna is spiritual as himself, permeating the bhakta's body with transcendence and bliss. With his spiritual body, the bhakta then worships Krishna's lotus feet. According to this statement compiled by a Mahāraja, a great devotee and authority, and this footnote, although these passages were spoken by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Mahāraja being referred to here is Śrīla Krishnadas Kaviraj Gosvāmī, the compiler of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay. So according to this statement compiled by a Mahāraja, to the extent that someone surrenders himself to the lotus feet of Sri Gurudev, he will be established in Diksha according to its actual meaning, and he will attain the qualification to render service to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. On the other hand, if he simply identifies himself with the words initiated disciple, but neglects Sri Guru-sevā, or, on the pretense of performing Guru-sevā, if he leads an independent life absorbed in sense gratification, it cannot be accepted that he is actually living a life of devotion, or even truly searching for the supreme goal of human life, Paramartha. Filling the belly of oneself and one's bodily relatives with alms, wealth, or ingredients that have been collected under the pretext of using them for the service of Sri Bhagavan and his devotees, is such an extremely serious offense that simply thinking of such an activity makes one's whole body tremble in fear. No offense is worse than maintaining one's livelihood by displaying Sri Vigraha for money, selling Mahaprasad, Charnamrita, or Nam Mantra, or professionally discoursing on holy scriptures like the Srimad Bhagavatam. Those who identify themselves as disciples cannot defend their identity as disciple or Guru Das if they live whimsically in transgression of the standards of discipline set by Sadguru and the Vaishnavas, or if they abandon fulfilling the heart's desire, the Manobhishta Seva of Sri Gurudev, and thereafter seek shelter in personal sense gratification on the pretext of doing seva and puja, ceremonial worship. Srila Bhakti Puri Gosvāmī is speaking directly to me right now. Their style of living can never be considered pursuant of Paramartha, or transcendence. If one does not precisely follow the orders and instructions of Sri Gurudev without changing them, one can never do true good to oneself or others. Real Guru-sevā. We must assemble in an Ishtagoshti and deliberate specifically upon the eternally beneficial instructions, or Vani, of Sri Gurudev that have emanated from his lotus lips, or that he has recorded in devotional literatures, published in periodicals and journals, and so on. Accordingly, we must endeavor to fulfill his deepest wishes. This will indeed be called Sri Guru-sevā. Otherwise, as in Ekalavya's case, the efforts of someone who serves Guru according to his own whims, without considering whether the Guru is satisfied or not, can never be called Guru-sevā. Sri Gurudev never accepts the service rendered by one so arrogant. Conceited so-called service performed by one whose motive is to compete with the Vaishnavas for personal name and fame as though they were his opponents, or who hankers for disciples and wealth, can never be equivalent to real seva. On the other hand, what to speak of being free from pride? Someone who engages in true seva will feel a mood of utter humility rising in his heart day by day, and he will feel himself to be more insignificant than the straw on the street. Along with that, he will become as tolerant as a tree, which never asks for anything, yet gives everything. He will become devoid of the desire to be respected by others, and he will develop the tendency to give respect to all. Filled with transcendental humility, he will always be absorbed in chanting the holy name of Krishna. One attains perfection in all types of endeavors exclusively by pleasing Sri Gurudev. By pleasing him, one's perception of difference, bhed, between Sri Krishna's holy name, Sri Krishna Nam, his deity form, Sri Krishna Vigraha, and his own internal form and nature, Sri Krishna Sarup, will be dispelled, and knowledge will awaken within him that the holy name, Sri Nam, is personally Sri Krishna's own form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, his Satchidananda Swarup. His form is the very embodiment of all transcendental humors. It is eternal, pure, and completely liberated. That is to say, it is free from even the faintest scent of illusion. When the conception arises that Nam and Nami, or Sri Hari Nam and Sri Hari himself, are non-different, then the 10 offenses to the holy name will be eradicated, and one will become qualified to attain the real mercy of Sri Nam, the truly magnanimous nature of Sri Guru. Sri Gurudev is a non-different manifestation of Sri Bhagavan. He appears in this material world just to dispel the darkness of ignorance and bestow Vishuddha Prem Bhakti, absolutely pure loving devotion, upon the jivas. Sri Gurudev, who is the ocean of mercy and who becomes distressed upon seeing the suffering of others, accepts so much pain for the sake of distributing this precious love. For this great treasure, the only price is sincere greed. That invaluable love will never be achieved through mockery. One who displays such mockery, which is completely disrespectful to Sri Guru, will suffer in hell for an unlimited period of time. If, without duplicity, someone accepts the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Guru, which are the source of fearlessness and freedom from grief, and which are the basis of immortality, then, even if he is sinful, aggressive, a fool, a wretch, poorly behaved, ill-behaved, or even the worst behaved person, then Sri Guru will never deprive him of mercy. Such a Guru never sees the faults of others, and always delivers the fallen souls. No one is the friend of our heart like he is. Our sole aspiration, our sole source of life, is his causeless mercy and our unpretentious dedication to him. The antithesis of real service. Those unfortunate, arrogant disciples who pretentiously display themselves as more knowledgeable, those arrogant, unfortunate disciples who pretentiously display themselves as more knowledgeable than their Guru, go as far as trying to rectify Sri Gurudev. They try to change the example he set for proper conduct, his acharatara, as well as the precepts he propagated, pracharatara, and they attempt to introduce their own special style of conduct and precepts. Due to the severe aparad, the offense of disrespectfully considering Sri Gurudev to be an ordinary mortal being, they bring about their own destruction and pave the way to destruction for many others. Just as it is an aparad to consider a bona fide guru to be a false one, promoting a false guru as bona fide is equally offensive. None of the endeavors to perform seva by someone entangled in the aparad of disrespecting Sri Guru can be considered Guru-sevā or Bhagavat-sevā. This so-called seva accomplishes nothing more than simply exposing the self-pride of such people. Oh God, this is so important. This article is like, every sentence is like essential. Is the service I'm rendering being accepted by Sri Gurudev? This question must be reflected upon at every moment and at every step. I'm going to read that again. Is the service I'm rendering being accepted by Sri Gurudev? This question must be reflected upon at every moment and at every step. Without considering this, the only thing that one can accomplish through one's whimsically motivated activities or use of energy, wealth, and intelligence and words is the momentary gratification of one's senses. When mimicking the loving service of Sri Gurudev's dearmost associates through hard work and large donations, it is simply rooted in a spirit of competition, and when it is done out of envy by those who are discontented by the glories of others, then it will never be Sri Guru-sevā. In genuine endeavors to perform Sri Guru-sevā, envy and arrogance do not exist at all. Rather, humility is quickly kindled, and any intention to cause distress to others is unable to find a place in one's heart. Then a heart-rending prayer full of intense, earnest pleading for the opportunity to perform seva will arise. Will Sri Guru Pad Padma be merciful upon me, his fallen servant, and accept my service? The greatest danger for the jiva. What is seva? I will certainly show them. What do they know about seva? Only I know its real meaning. This arrogant mentality is completely unfavorable for Sri Guru-sevā. If someone's heart is full of dispositions that are unfavorable to bhakti, such as enmity, and violence, then no matter how much he makes an external display of bhajan, then he is certainly deprived of Bhakti Devi's mercy. As a result of his offenses at the lotus feet of Bhakti Devi, attachment to mundane sense objects will at once manifest in his heart. Thereafter, the tendency to profess himself to be a Vaishnava will manifest, a tendency rooted in the wickedness of fulfilling his desires to enjoy sensed objects, on the pretense of serving Sri Hari, Guru, and Vaishnavas. At that time, the predilection, let me see this word. Predilection means a preference or special liking for something, a bias or favor of something. Okay. So, at that time, a predilection to remain under the guidance of Vaishnavas and serve them will no longer prevail. Surely being cast out of bhakti shelter is the only factual disaster for the jiva. The cause of this severe disaster is none other than his offenses at the lotus feet of Sri Guru and Vaishnavas. As a consequence, the desires to enjoy wealth, women, and fame drastically increase within his heart. In fact, according to the logic yadrishi bhavana yasya siddhir bhavati tadrishi, the fulfillment of one's desires upon attaining perfection is in accordance with the thoughts one had during the phase of spiritual practice. These worldly enjoyments become easily available to such people. However, the unfortunate jivas cannot understand their own undoing. They simply spend all their time madly engaged in sensual pleasures. They lose all sense of proper conduct in relation to bhakti and become entangled in various forms of ill behavior. Thus, their hypocrisy and artificiality verily increases. May the most worshipful Sri Guru Pad Padma, out of his causeless compassion, bestow his mercy upon me, so that I may attain the qualification to selflessly serve his lotus feet according to his manobhishta, while remaining in the anugatya of his dearmost associates. This is the sole prayer of a fallen soul like me, according to the principle of subservience, to the servant of the servant of the servant. Ami to Vaishnava, e buddhi hoile, amani na habo ami. Pratishtasha asi, hridaya dushibe, hoivo niraya gami. I will not be free from expectations of honor. Expectations of honor if I maintain the mentality that I am a Vaishnava. Desiring prestige, my heart will become dirty and I will be bound for hell. Translated from the monthly Gaudiya, Year 4, Number 5. Wow. Is the service I'm rendering being accepted by Sri Gurudev? This question must be reflected upon at every moment and at every step. Without considering this, the only thing one can accomplish through one's whimsically motivated activities or use of energy, wealth, intelligence, and words is the momentary gratification of one's senses. बंद करो मोबाइल बंद करो এখন আমার লাইভ ক্লাস চলছে হ্যাঁ ওই যে বিজি 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 বলে না কি বলে ওটাকে কি কোথায় পরে মানবে হ্যাঁ কি সব কোথায় শব্দে বিজি বলে দেবে বিজি বলে ফোন করলে পর কদু বলে বিজি বিজি আমি আসবো আপনার রুমে ঠিক আছে কোথায় শব্দ বলে সেটা একটা বলে দিতে হবে ঠিক আছে What melody should I sing? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gurudeva 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 Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shata Shishmad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Gosvāmī Mahārāja Shila Gurudeva Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shata Shishmad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shata Shishmad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Mahārāja Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shata Shishmad Shila Bhakti Pramoda Puri Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shata Shishmad Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keśava-vrata Mahārāja Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shata Shishmad Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Mahābhagavat Shila Gorksharas Babaji Mahārāja Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarva Bhoma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Mahārāja Ki Jai Shri Rupano Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sharda Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai Namachay Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Mahārāja Ki Jai Shri Radhakund Shamakund Ki Jai Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shinitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyaye Keśava-vrata Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavataya Namo Namaha vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Dandavat pranams. That was a very special article. We'll have to read that again sometime. Very important. Srila Bhakti Pramoda. Oh, and this Tarun is asking, are you wondering, the person who wrote the article is Srila Bhakti Pramoda Puri Gosvāmī Mahārāja. He's a disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And yeah, all of his writings are just, they really make you look at yourself and like look really how sincere am I really? And we find, I find when I read his article, he just like breaks any kind of like idea that we have about ourselves. That yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm a good devotee, like that, and he just breaks off all these, yeah. Really, like his writings is essential. If we actually want to become a sincere servant of Sri Guru, then his writings is essential for us. So anyhow, that would be a nice thing to do sometime. I'm thinking actually on Akshaya Tritiya, I was thinking of going through different books and just reading a chapter a day from a different book, and it'd be really nice to read his book, The Heart of Sri Krishna. It's all on the topic of Vaishnava Parad, and he gives, in each chapter, gives a story of a very important, instructive story about how harmful aparad is, Vaishnava Parad. Very important book. Anyhow, I'll be in later. I'm going to go take prasad now, and then I'm going to finish the last three Sharanagati kirtans that I started just before this video. Alright, Jai Shri Radhe, thank you for joining me. Hari Bol.